All right. Now let's see if I could get Eric here. It didn't work on Facebook, so we're gonna see if we could get Eric online here to do this Palo Tatamusito. Here we go. View request. All right, I just sent it to you, Eric. It should be.
Vaya.
Here we go. It's about
Iba-
time.
ya,
Yeah, yeah. Can you
ya
please
iba
share
a
it to the
salir acá,
Facebooks?
ya iba a empezar a hablar con Edwin aquí, ya, ya iba a meterme en un palo ahí, a empezar a rogarle a la gente y todas esas cosas.
So, guys, today's interview is gonna be with Eric Colon, part two on Palo Mayombe. We're gonna be talking a lot about a little bit of a history.
Yeah.
There are many claiming that Palo is not real. That Mayombe was not real. That Mayombe never existed. There's a lot of miscommunication, misinformation out there. So I wanted to invite Mr. Eric Colon to come on board and share a little bit of knowledge with us about Mayombe. I think his camera froze already. I'm telling you guys, they're like, I don't know, le están dando tabaco al lucero. Yeah. So,
You know?
yeah.
Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I could hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
I could hear
Está
you.
bien. ¿Me ves?
Okay.
¿Me ves también?
Yeah.
Está bien.
So, Eric, let's get to it before they start doing, throwing stuff and cut the
Oh,
restriction.
I know. It's
um,
working. It's working. It's
the,
working. I can't even light a candle.
now, the question to you,
Uh-huh.
Eric, is Mayombe real or is Mayombe something that is made up?
Okay, brother. So when we talk about Mayombe, right? A lot of people get it confused. The word Mayombe is a play on words, which means ma meaning many, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
the in if you were to talk about it in English, right? And Yombe, the people of Yombe, right? Which Yombe
Mm-hmm.
is a big area of Loango, Luanda, and Bundu. There's a couple of tribes there, and you have the Mayombe forest that's there. That's an actual forest in the DRC, which was Angola at one time. You know that now it's called the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Okay, when the slave traders started coming into the DRC and they started collecting people, right? Because they were slave traders. And slave traders, most of them were Arabic, right? Um, most of them were either from Portugal or from Spain or or black Moors, free men that also owned slaves, right? Because they were considered morro. They weren't considered the derogatory word at that time that we've changed it throughout our culture called negro, right? La gente negra. La gente negra
Well,
back
when
in
we
the
say
day.
negro, it's not like a form like of disrespecting people. It's just we refer by the color. Just want to
Eh, yeah, I just want to clarify that too. But back in those days, when they would call somebody a negro, the actual word was connotated with slavery and with the color of skin.
okay.
A lot of Latino culture and a lot of us, we've adopted la negrura or la palabra negra or negro to connotate to something a lot better. We've
Mm.
changed it. We've changed it. Just like a lot of people have changed certain meanings of the word. The negros that we talk about today are not those negros from that time.
Mm.
So when they collect these slaves, remember that they didn't have fast boats.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to take journeys, right? Months to cross the Atlantic Ocean. And the biggest landmass was none other than South America, Brazil, present day Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, you know, and so they had ports there. And so what would happen is that those ports would most of the slaves were taken to Rio de Janeiro, to Brazil. And in Brazil, they were transported from Brazil to different islands. That's where most of the merchants, whether they were from Cuba, Puerto Rico, and moving into the other islands, they had boats waiting there to go and transport them into the Caribbean islands. So in Cuba, when uh, the slaves get there, and right away they realized that the Congos were war people. They weren't they weren't militant, right? But they were organized because they had a government and they had a structure from the Mani Congo, from those times of the Trata that they had. Because there's books and there's a lot of archaeological fact that they had their own kingdom. They had kingdoms within their kingdoms, and they had certain rules and regulations, and they had certain patriarchies and so forth, right? So what happens? These slaves now, they organize and they cause revolt.
Mm-hmm.
Before Cuba could really settle into slavery, the way the people think, oh, that they just came and they gave up. No, they fought. They fought. And so those cimarrones, right? Or what a lot of people call maroons,
Mm-hmm.
or what a lot of people call, slaves that escaped. They escaped into the mountains because um, the Europeans, the Spaniards that were in the island couldn't run with a gigantic horse, with a gigantic Arabic Spanish horse up a hill that high. And there was so much manigua, there was so much forest, there was so much things to get away that eventually it took them years to get up there. It wasn't like they went and they started cutting trees and they came with machines. No, they had to cut that by hand. And they didn't have labor like that. So it took them years to go up into the mountains. Okay? And so what happened is that when those people made it up into the mountains, they made up with the Aboriginal people that were living there, the Tainos, the Arawaks. They started learning about the land. They started learning about the topography. They started learning about the herbs that were there that they can utilize, and they started reorganizing their religion,
Okay.
which we call today Palo Mayombe, right?
But was it Mayombe originally, or was it Palo Monte?
It was actually the name for Mayombe at one time before it became Mayombe was Makinsisi Malongo. That was the actual
Makisisi
name,
Malongo.
Makinsisi Malongo. So it was actually Malongo.
Okay.
It was born of nature, the understanding of living with nature, and its structure in the universe. Later on, due to different things, it became La Rama de Mayombe. All right. But
Mm-hmm.
Mayombe is the actual birth of all the three ramas of well, not so much Kimbisa, because Kimbisa was a different sect, but Mayombe gave birth to Briyumba,
Okay.
and that's proven.
Mm-hmm.
That is a proven fact. So yes, was the original Mayomberos in Mayombe, they were called Makinsisi Malongo,
Makisisi Malongo. Okay.
which a
Now,
lot of
the other
people don't
question,
know.
yes, which is good. Write that down, guys, on your notes. People that like the history and stuff. My question is this: did they bring anything from Africa that you know, or that are in the history books? Did they bring ngangas? Did they bring the Palos, the Incunias, or are the Incunias that we use today are solely Incunias, new Incunias that weren't even used in Africa?
Look, and I've had this debate, and I've spoken with this with a
It's
lot
just
of people.
your opinion, so don't worry about it.
No, no, no. It's my opinion. No, but I'll base it on fact, because there's a lot of archaeologists, Cuban archaeologists, okay, that have spoken about this.
Mm-hmm.
Archaeologists like Ortiz,
Mm-hmm.
archaeologists like Miguel Barnett,
Mm-hmm.
archaeologists like Cabrera, archaeologists like Natalia Bolivar. All right, the slaves, you know what they brought themselves? What they brought
Mm-hmm.
really was their bambola, their memories
Mm-hmm.
of things. That's what they brought, and they brought their science, and they brought their understanding, and they brought their philosophy, and then they started reorganizing. They
Okay.
started reorganizing, and so the Incunias that we use are Incunias that are not from Africa. The Incunias that we use are Mesoamerican, Colombian, pre-Columbian. You can find them everywhere from Haiti to El Salvador to Puerto Rico to Jamaica to Cuba, because it's all the same land mass.
Okay. Now, when we say Incunia, guys, for those who don't understand those words, are what we mean is the sticks, the palos. Now, the other question is, so they brought themselves, they didn't bring in the fundamento. So there was a fundamento that was born in Cuba, I guess, or created in Cuba.
Yes.
How
There's
did
a,
the
there's a lot
fundamento
of
start? So if we start educating people on how the first fundamento started, if you don't mind.
yeah, well, look, fundamentos weren't the ngangas. Like, I'm in a room with ngangas, right? I'm in my room with my ngangas and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that the ngangas lived in nature. And the very first ngangas that were, what was that Lydia Carrera wrote? Oh, that's the Akashic astronaut. Hey, Andre. Hey, Lisandra. That's a very good friend of mine that
How
I
you
know.
doing? Okay.
And my godson came into the witchy do. Um,
Oh, okay. Salam
um,
alaikum. Yeah,
so
we should do.
so so what actually happens, brother? What actually happens is that a lot of this stuff that was made, they were made in little guidos, right? In higueras, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ngangas were very small. Later on, they started imposing what's called el saco saco, right? Or what we call, déjame ver si lo tengo por acá, porque yo sé que yo tengo, ajá, el yute, right? El yute,
Yeah.
right? The sacos,
Mm-hmm.
the sacos de papa y cosas así, right? Those ngangas eventually were modulated into higueras, into jicaras, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first ngangas were born in jicaras, because what actually happens is that they see the technology or the understanding of nature through the eyes of the natives that were there already. Because Taino artifacts, Indian artifacts, or not Indian, native artifacts, right? Their spirits, their guides, their guias were born in jicaras. Semis were made in jicaras, and then later on they did all types of other things. But they saw this knowledge that these people that were there, and they incorporated it and assimilated.
So
That
that comes from the knowledge or the understanding of the Tainos or the islanders.
yeah.
Yes, burlap. Yes, thank you. The knowledge and the understanding of Tainos or the islanders of
Thank you,
Cuba,
baby.
Haiti, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, let's say.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Not Native American Indians.
No, not native. Well, they were native to their land,
Yeah.
right? They were native to their land. So we can say, because of colonization, right? We can say that it's the Americas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Indians weren't proposed as Indians. That's actually a slang word that Columbus used because he thought he was in fucking India. He thought he made it to India. He never made it. You know,
Yeah.
what he wound up meeting were the people that were part of that journey, were part of that land. You know what I mean? And so that's where that comes from. That all that understanding of the plants. Oh, look, I'll even tell you, in Africa, in Bantu understanding, the Bantus didn't really cut down trees that much because it was taboo.
Hmm.
It was taboo to cut a tree because the trees have spirits.
Yes.
So in Africa, cutting a tree down, he better have a damn good reason why he was cutting that tree because he would get killed,
Mm.
right?
Wow.
But the natives knew about the herbology. They knew about these plants, and they knew certain times that they had to cut these plants. They knew when they couldn't cut the plants, and so forth. And that understanding comes from the native thought that
Wow.
people want to disseminate and say, "Oh no, the Africans came and and they no, no, no." They both shared this common knowledge, and this common knowledge was spread through them.
Okay. So were let's say what were the ones made in horn or what we call empacas? Were there
The
gangas made?
empacas, the first empacas were made in boar's tooth and jabali.
Oh, okay.
The very first empacas were jabali because they were little. Again, like I said, people have gotten this misconception that the ngangas have to be tremendously big. When
Oh no.
that comes from contemporary thought, right? But in all actuality, if si tú eres un brujo, if you're a brujo and you have to go and work and you have to take your stuff into the monte. Ernesto Mercer, who's on this, watching this right now, he's on it. He knows what I'm talking about because he's a traveling brujo. His ngangas aren't big. Most of his stuff he takes with him, and that's the knowledge and the thought of your spirituality and of that time. They couldn't have big ngangas. They had to work on the run. So they grabbed their stuff, they go. They had an empaca, they had a tooth, they had a horn, they had something, a stick, they had something that was created in a formality of an Inkisi.
Mm. Okay. So back to Mayombe. Could you tell us a little bit of the birth of Mayombe? I mean, you told us the history, but exactly,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Well, the birth of Mayombe, it's a little convoluted, right? Because there's always different stories, but there's the main story of what's considered in Central Orozco the Abracamundo, right?
Hmm.
That's where Mayombe, hey Malongo Yaya Ernesto, that's where Mayombe comes from, Abracamundo, and Abracamundo is none other than the Seba, right?
Hmm.
But there are no Sebas in Africa. Mama Ngundu gave birth to all the Nkisis. All the Nkisis that you see nowadays, the they were born from la ideología de Abracamundo.
The
Now there,
allergy, yeah, of Bracamundo.
yeah,
What was the, do you know any names of the first Ramas and Mayombes that were created, Eric?
the I know quite a few. The
Will you share some of them with us? Because
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of people are confusing the Ramas with Briyumba or their Kimbisas or that like that.
Yeah, no, no, no. There's the house of there's a house of Engandoquava, right?
Hmm.
One of the very first houses of Mayombe, which Engandoquava gave birth to a lot of different ramas like Quijenco, so not ramas, but so, ramitas de Mayombe, right?
Hmm.
Vamos a decir eso para que la gente no se confunde. A branch, a gajo,
Hmm.
right?
Agajo.
So el gajo, or the branch of what's considered Abracamundo, then Enganducuava, then you have houses like Batalla Sacampeño, then you have houses like Quijenco Soberano, you have an old house, Congo Mayaca, Congo Mayaca is Mayombe.
Is
Okay?
Mayaca or Macaya?
No, Mayaca.
Mayaca.
Congo Mayaca.
Okay.
Yeah. Congo Mayaca. All right. The other houses, like Kalungamun and Sambi, you know, there is a house still to this day named Akaronene, because what happened was Akaro is an actual Orisha from, I want to say the actual Orisha from the Arara.
Yes.
And when the people from Mayombe had beef with Arara, because people don't realize that these groups, they got along, but then there was groups that hated Palo or Paleros, right? They thought
Even
that
to
they were
this
all
day.
criminals. Yeah, even to this day. And so what they did was, and this is a story, of course, that lives in Bejuco and Finda and Batalla Sacampeño, that one of our elders, which I won't mention his name because I don't want people to know. This is just stuff that is
Yes.
general. You know
Keep
what I
secrets.
mean?
Oh, yeah. Let's not
But
talk secrets.
but he went and stole Acaro. He stole Acaro, which is Olokun's sister, which is considered Iku in Arara.
Mm-hmm.
And so they take this Acaro, Orisha, and they convert it into an nganga. And so they make la casa de Acaro Nene. And there's a song, there's even a mambo that goes, Acaro Nene, yo tengo un gajo Congo. Mira ganga, yo tengo un gajo Congo, yo tengo un gajo Congo. Acaro Nene, yo tengo un gajo Congo. It was a puya to the Araras
Yes.
that they took that.
Now, could you
So there's
explain real quick? Could you explain what a puya is? I mean, I know,
a,
but I just wonder.
a puya, for anyone who wants to know, it's kind of like a diss. It's like you're dissing the person to their face with words, with language, with song. You're letting them know who you are. It's kind of like it's almost like kind of like a rap battle. Like, if to put it in those types of terms that people can understand today. Like if you're in a cipher and somebody's talking about you, and then you come and you defend your house, and then they come and they say some stuff, and that's what Puya de Palo is. That's why they call it a juego, or a game,
Juego de
because
palo.
that's what El Juego de Palo becomes a game.
Yeah.
It becomes a game of words, it becomes a game of wits, and it becomes a game of knowledge. And it's all metaphorical to none other agitate the spirit, because that's what they do. They agitate the spirit.
Yeah, and even to today in Gimbulas, or when they get together, you'll see a lot of puya going on, a lot of juego de palo where they throw, like that's the song that you sang last time, Gavilán con pluma de colores.
Yeah.
Um,
¿Qué han visto un gavilán con pluma colorada?
yeah,
You know?
there's a tata that somebody doesn't like, or a person that somebody likes, or most of the time it happens a lot when a wadi wadi was in there too, and then they
Yeah,
start throwing puya.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
They especially, even if a person, let's say, like for instance, you have a problem with someone, and they're two-faced, right? They're two-faced. They're just, they're just a real shit,
Mm-hmm.
and they come to your yimbula, and you turn around, and you tell them, con bueno modo, yo tumba palo caimito, con bueno
I don't
modo.
know.
Yo tumba palo Camito, because you're telling them that they're two-faced, because Camito has two faces.
Yes.
It has a green face and a brown face on the leaf.
Palo caimán, palo caimito, yes.
And those are the types of songs that happen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's other songs that are totally not puyas, they're actual songs. But to get back to Mayombe,
Yes.
Mayombe was born in La Loma del Cusco. All right. Y en la Loma del Cusco,
Not
you will
Peru.
find
Not Peru.
Campana La Luisa,
Mm-hmm.
that is still there to this day. And Campana La Luisa is Mayombe. I know a lot of Briyumberos like to sing it, and oh, Campana La Luisa ya se rompió. Yo mando mi ganga pa componer, patico florido. Dile a Dios, ¿dónde vive mi ganga? Vivo yo. But they don't know
Yeah.
the real meaning behind that, because there's a play with words in Mayombe that I won't say,
Yeah.
again, because people don't need to know, right? But it's not what they think. you know, and to that, those are the things that make Mayombe Mayombe. It makes it la cuna. It makes it kind of like the birthplace of the understanding of what's happening today in Palo.
Hay un palo que se esconde, que palo es.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all Mayombe. That's
Yeah.
look. There's a small prayer that goes Macacambonda arriba en toto,
Yes.
Macacambonda arriba en toto. ¿Qué dijo Chamalongo cuando cayó en tierra Congo? Gling 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 Chamalongo, gling 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 Chamalongo Mayombe. It's Mayombe. Gling 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 Chamalongo is Mayombe.
Yes. But there's a lot of people that like to borrow or claim that that's from their lineage and claim from that's, either Kimbisa, Briyumba, or the thing. Now,
And that's fine.
where does Briyumba come and play now?
Okay. So Briyumba, right, is the understanding of in a lot of places they call it that it came from Africa, from the Viyumbas. They claim this, but there's no real hard evidence about it, right? Bri in Bozal, Congo Bozal, not not African. It's kind of like mixed Creole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bri means Bri or Kri means head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bri and Nyumba means state, head of
A
state,
state. Yeah.
right? Head of state, right? That's where the Briyumberos started putting their ngangas. They started putting the heads on top of their ngangas to make them look more fierce, right? And so Briyumba is born from a tratado from Mayombe that gave protestad. And again, I'm not going to mention it
Yes,
because
yes,
I
yes.
start mentioning it and then people are going to jump on it. Oh, no, no, no. I don't have to mention it. People know this is as fact.
Yes.
All right. And so what happens is they make an nganga, right? They make an nganga, right? And that nganga starts birthing other ngangas, right? And the understanding of that whole premise of Briyumba becomes more of a warlike faction than the way Mayombe was set up to be, because Mayombe is set up to be more of a practice that has to do with Malongo, with nature, with the universe,
Yes.
with kanda, with family, with respect. Briyumba came more to war, and the confines of that war started with the Cuban Revolution. The Cuban Revolution really gave amplitude to Briyumba because a lot of Briyumberos started cutting people left and right into their houses, and that's why you see Briyumba houses overtake the island pretty much.
Oh,
Because
yes.
Mayombe was very secular. To be a Mayombero, you have to be there with your padrino for years. And if he taught you a little bit, it was a lot, because he put you through trials and stuff. Because the reality was the elders of our time, of that time, knew what was going to happen with Palo in the state the way it is today. The way Palo is today, they predicted that hundreds of years ago. They knew it. That's why a lot of them died with their secrets.
Wow. But in
Por eso esos
reality, then,
viejos, por eso esos viejos de esa época murieron con sus cosas.
Iskandembo ate Spaniards. um, Tata Yancy is saying Iskandembo, he's giving some knowledge there. So was it basically like a betrayal from Briyumba to Mayombe?
It was more of Briyumba wanted to be the big dog. And so
So
Mayombe
hijo
stepped back.
se le trepó al padre. The son went over the father.
Seguro, seguro. Donde nace, donde nació esa ideología de que Mayombe era muy pacífico, era muy esto, era muy lo otro, right? Pero en esa guerra, ahí es donde nació Engando Batalla
Engando
de
batalla, okay.
Mayombe. Engando Batalla es Mayombe. Mucha gente dice, no, que Engando Batalla es Briyumba. No, Engando Batalla es Mayombe. Totalmente.
Well, I didn't know that.
Porque no es más Engando que Batalla. Y Batalla nace del cocodrilo, que nace de Engando Batalla, Engando Cuava, Engando Batalla.
That's something I have to add to my books now.
Y entonces ahí es donde vienen Mayombe a reclamar su posición como palero. Ahí es donde nace muchas pullas, muchas canciones de vuelta arriba, vuelta abajo, de muchas cosas que la gente no sabe. A lot of people don't know this because this is politics within Cuba, right? So these politics happen and nobody knows this, you know? And that's where that situation comes from. Engando Batalla, you know? And Engo. And so Engo saludando batalla. Vamos, ganga, Engo saludando batalla. ¿Entiendes? Hay canciones donde you don't speak Spanish, you liar.
Well, you said a lot of things in Spanish. I was like, I don't understand.
No. That's someone I know. Someone I know that's in the sala.
Okay,
That's the wife.
So then, in other words, Mayombe is real because there's a lot of Mayombe is something that was real because there's a lot of people claiming, a lot of people that say they have knowledge, which I'm not going to contest them, right? Because I speak to myself. That say that the Mayombe is fake, that Mayombe never existed, that Mayombe was something that was made up.
No, not at all. See, then they would have to stop singing the mambos that originate from Mayombe then, right?
Oh, there were dramas like Mayombe con Briyumba will not exist.
No, it never existed. Maybe now people have done things, Briyumba con Mayombe, things like that, but back in the day, that was unheard of. You know? That was totally unheard of. And that's the reality.
So where does Kimbisa come from?
Kimbisa.
Ahí donde dice Tata Yancy, ¿y de dónde sale Kimbisa? No, maybe because of the question, where is Mayombe real or not? I want to reiterate something. I know what Eric is talking about, but I have to put myself in the side of I'm doing an interview and I have no idea what he's talking about because that's how the interview goes, right?
No, of course, yeah.
So I'm playing the part of somebody who is interviewing without any knowledge of Palo, but at the same time, like it's Eric's. That's why he's my guest because it's all about what Eric's opinion, not my opinion, right? I respect everybody's opinion, but there's a lot of people out there like putting Mayombe really bad. I'm a Mayombero. I'm from Brahma Con Brahma, right?
Exactly.
And maybe you can share a little bit of story of Brahma Con Brahma, because even in Brahma Con Brahma, they say Brahma Con Brahma es una regla espiritista, you know? But I'm nobody to contest them. I know what I know, right? What my elders told me. But it's not about me. But it's a lot of people out there saying, no, que Mayombe nunca existió, que Mayombe es una mierda, que Mayombe es un invento. Mayombe is an invention, Mayombe never existed. So this is the reason why we're doing videos here, because we are talking to a Tata who is a Mayombero.
Yes. You know, it's funny, you know, the problem with that is they want to erase an understanding of Palo that becomes less syncretic. And what I mean by syncretized, the understanding of a pantheon of gods, right? Because in other ramas like Briyumba and like Kimbisa, they have what's called a pantheon, you know, a pantheon. And the understanding of a pantheon, right? Understanding of a pantheon is godlike, you know. So Sarabanda is a god. You know,
Endoki Yaya. Yeah, go ahead.
you know, Sarabanda is a god. Siete Rayos is a god. They're not gods. They're spirits, but they are not gods. Because in the understanding of Mayombe, Mayombe creates the universe within the likeness of your universe. It's a new it's not a new concept, you know? It's not a new concept because the Congos believe the same thing. We come out into the universe, into our being. And when we get initiated, it's supposed to align us with our universal self, right? And what does every individual do? They create, right? We
Yes.
create our universe. We create our world. So if we're creating our world and if we're creating our universe, then it's in align with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
It is biocentrism, but biocentrism is late to the show because this physicist that wrote that about biocentrism, he doesn't realize that the Congos have been speaking this a millennia.
Okay. So in other words, in Mayombe, I know the answer. I mean, like I said, I will act like I don't know. In
Yeah, yeah.
Mayombe, is there a such thing as your mother is Centella and your father is Sarabanda?
No,
Okay.
no,
Can we talk a
no.
little bit about that? That's very important to a lot of people that don't understand this.
The look in Mayombe and I'll say Malongo as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Malongo and in the understanding of Mayombe as a practice, it never introduced an understanding of Orisha concept of having a duality of mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have that. You're born from you're born within yourself with the help of an Inkisi that your godfather, godmother, whoever had the Inkisi, right?
Mm-hmm.
So since we're talking Mayombe, right? Since we're talking Mayombe, let's talk about let's oh my man's phone going dead. I'm in the Infina. You better go run to your car.
I will save this, guys. This videos will be saved, and I will also put it on YouTube.
Yeah. And so what happens, brother, what happens with this is that Mayombe births your shadow self, your sombra, right? Buen sombra, buen lumbo, right?
Yes.
Good shade, good upbringing. And so when you get
Is that the
initiated,
same thing as you say the Nkawama?
yeah, in
Yeah.
Kawama,
So
yeah,
are you going into the what you call that? Your Ensara Muyo?
exactly.
Okay.
Your yourself, your
Okay.
insara, your moyo, your way of life, your way of being. And so Mayombe takes that, right? And I'll put it in the generic term, right? In Sasi, right? Because
Okay.
everybody knows in Sasi, right?
Oh,
The,
everybody know
the
who Sasi is, man.
yeah, right? And so
Because some
what
people claim that
happened?
Ensasi is not real, that he's Siete Rayos. But anyways,
No, 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 no. Siete Rayos is a Castilian name.
yeah,
Un nombre castellano que
of
le
course.
dieron that they gave him to a prenda. And actually, the understanding of Ensasi has more to do with the technique, the way the nganga is made, and not its actual name. So when you go to Mayombero's house and they ask, "Oh, what prenda you have?" "Oh, Ensasi." But do I really have Ensasi, or do I
No,
have a prenda with a name?
aprenda with a
And
name. Yeah.
exactly, because if if my name, right, if my name is Eric, right,
Mm-hmm.
and then in my religious understanding, my name is Tata Musitu,
Mm-hmm.
right, which means Tata of the firm mountain, right.
Mm-hmm.
My Nganga is my shadow self, so he's gonna have a name that represents me in that plane
Yes,
that has nothing to do with Ensasi.
of
So
course.
he gets an actual name.
Of course. And that's what I explain people is your pa has a name, but let's call it Ensasi, but it has its private name.
Exactly. That maybe people in the house know, maybe, and some people may know a little bit. Like I'll tell you off the back. Like people know that my nganga has a name of Acabamundo, but they don't know the whole name.
Of course, that's your secret.
Exactly. And that's the thing, you know? And so what happens is that the understanding of people saying mother and father, again, started with the Cuban Revolution, started with the Cabildo understanding, because they were trying to save religion.
Sí, Tata Yancy, todos somos enganga. Yo mismo soy enganga, yo mismo soy engando. The enganga is that person, is the walking person. Anyways, you cut off there, so that's why I started talking.
Yeah. No, they tiraron brujería, pero no enganchó.
So you were explaining to us where the concept of the mother and father comes.
The mother and
But
father
before you go there,
Uh-huh.
so I ask another question. So in Mayombe, do we have Santeria? Do we have Puayende? Do we have Sarabanda? Stuff like that? Or there's just...
Yes, we do. Because they were all born from Mayombe. The thing is this, that every nganga that is named was for one plantation in each zone in Pinal del Rio, in different zones, in different plantations. Like, for instance, I'll give you one. La Plantación. Let's say a plantation, not an area, just a plantation.
Okay.
El Cordero. La Plantación Cordero used to have a plantation of plantains, plátanos, right? Planting. And that's the understanding of none other than Sarabanda. Because Sarabanda was Mayombe. Later on, they started importing it into Briyumba concept and all this stuff, but Sarabanda is Mayombe. And we have a tratado in Mayombe called Yokun Malongo that is considered a Sarabanda.
Could you explain that? Can you say the name again? I didn't. You broke up.
Yokun
Malongo. Okay.
Yokun Malongo.
Okay.
All right. And again, and I'm going to keep it general, because then as soon as I start saying names, people are going to go, oh shit, I got a ganga from a Yokun Malongo and all. No. Calm down, fool. Those are tratados that you got to learn, you know. Okay. Hay que caminar para saber eso, you know. Okay. But again, the understanding of that concept, right? So every plantation had an nganga, you know. El Guiro Seco, right? El Guiro Seco gave birth to Dilan Shola, which is none other than Shola Wenge, right? There's a mambo that we sing. You know, tres con tres, ¿quién rompió el guiro? ¿Quién rompió el guiro? Chola rompió el guiro tres, because she lived in a guiro. And eventually, when she got too big for it, she broke it, and that's the first time they put her in ceramic. Okay. Mariwanga, which is the supposed counterpart of Santeria, right? Mariwanga was an actual woman. She was an actual esclava that was a bruja. And when they say, ¿Por qué Mariwanga habitan Colorado? Why does Mariwanga? Why is she dressed in red? Because she was in La Loma killing her mayorales. She was killing the slave owners. And so she wore white, and she was inundated in blood. She her dress looked red.
I haven't read that story yet.
Yeah, that's Mariwanga. That's Mayombe, brother. You know? That's Mayombe. You know? Covered in blood. And so when these understandings of pantheonic gods start coming together, is because the cabildos start taking them and say, let's create an understanding like Orisha. So we'll say Sarabanda is Ogun. and Siete Rayos Shango, and so forth. And so they started adopting it, right? When the Cuban Revolution stopped, everything's supposed to go back to normal. It didn't. They kept it. So they assimilated Palo into Orisha understanding.
Mm.
And that's what it is.
Wow. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
You know, I think history is very important and stuff. Now, we talked a little bit about Briyumba, a little bit of Mayombe. Hopefully, we can continue doing this more videos so we could educate, you know, once in a while.
Definitely.
Where does Kimbisa come in here and play?
You know what? That's a good question that I can't really answer, because I know Kimbisa was set somewhere in Matanzas. I know that. And I know Kimbisa, they have what's called Vititicongo Kimbisa, that one of the founders of Kimbisa was Oriol Bustamante.
Oriol Bustamante,
Okay.
yes.
And so Oriol Bustamante he was Vititicongo Kimbisa. And then later on, you know, exactly, Tata.
And Doki Yaya.
You know, exactly. And so what happens is that when he decides that he's going to do a tratado with Sacampeño Mayombe, it becomes Vititicongo Basacampeño, because they had to do the ceremony of Moana Filo.
Well, is there a Rama that is Mayombe that's Vititicongo? Because some people have asked about that.
No.
And that's funny because a lot of people claim, and this is a personal thing, a lot of people claim that Brahma Con Brahma comes from Vititicongo, and I'm like, well, how can that be a Mayombe and there Kimbisa?
Yeah, I don't know a lot of I can tell you a little bit about the meaning of Brahma Con Brahma, Yebba Buena, Yebba Mala, you know.
If you can, so I like, because I have some people here that are from Arrama. As you know, you guys, I'm from Brahma Con Brahma, from Renero Perez. If you can tell us a little bit, and then we'll go back to Kimbisa, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Brahma Con Brahma is none other than it's a tratado that has to do a lot with Tetemboa, or what we call Lucero, right?
Yes.
The falling star, or el meteoro, the meteorite, right?
Yes.
And Brahma is none other than grass, or Kimbansa. The Kimbansa that grows all over the ground, that tears through the concrete, that lifts buildings, that eats up houses, you know, that breaks pipes. You know, if it's too close, if the lawn is too close to a pipe, it'll break it. Yes. It'll eat the metal and break it and grow its roots in the house. Brahma Con Brahma is that. Brahma Con Brahma is Yebba Buena, Yebba Mala. There's also, it's part of, in some houses, it's part of what's considered the yamboso, or a ritual drink that's made with Brahma.
Yes.
And that's the little that I know of Brahma Con Brahma, as I know it.
But the thing is, to you, is Brahma Con Brahma, and I want to clarify this because there's a lot of Brahma Con Brahmas here. Is it a fake Brahma?
Brother, I don't know. Honestly, I can't say that it's fake, because I know a lot of people from Brahma Con Brahma. It came from Oriente. That is without question. The people that created it, you know, they have their tratados, and they know their Mayombe. So I wasn't there in the inception, so I can't say, oh, it's fake, because I know your godfather Macho. I know Macho from back in the days, from junior high school, you know, and I know Ernesto, you know, I know Kyle. I know a few Brahma Con Brahmas. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
And so this is their house, and this is how they do things, and other people welcome them in. So I'm nobody to say that it's fake.
yeah. I mean, I'm just bringing it up. It's something personal that I want to know your opinion. That's just,
Yeah,
and
yeah, no,
for
no.
the Brahma
My
Con Brahmas
opinion,
that are here, my Impangis, my
my
brothers and sisters
opinion,
that are
my
here.
opinion that if you can trace it back to Cuba, then it has to be real, right?
Yes.
Because
Now,
if you can go on a plane right now and find an elder and say, "Oh, yo soy Brahma con Brahma," guess what? It
oh,
is
we
what it is.
everywhere.
Yeah,
There's a big
exactly.
cabildo that I just found out here in Miami, but I don't know if it's from the same lineage.
Yeah.
But anyways, going back to Kimbisa,
Uh-huh.
okay. So you were explaining because from what I heard, Kimbisa was the first one that came to the island, right? And there was
Uh-huh.
grupo de sacerdote, priests, Kimbisa priests, when they came to the island,
Okay.
but it was never established. But according to those anthropologists, it wasn't the Kimbisa that is known today.
Yeah. I think again, like a lot of people don't realize that Mayombe and Kimbisa have a lot of tratado that are similarities, a lot of similarity in their practice. And it was easy to accomplish, you know, it was easy to accomplish the understanding that there is Kimbisa va con Mayombe, right? People, there's mambos that talk about that, cruza la Kimbisa con Mayombe, Mayombero, cruza la Kimbisa
Kimbisa,
con
yes.
Mayombe. There is a lot of song that that details that, right? And the reality, thank you, baby. Ah, viste, mira, mira, cafecito,
Oh,
loco.
wow. I'm jealous.
Hate. For all you haters out there, hate me because I got coffee.
Kimbisa was not the first lineage in Cuba. Oh, yes. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm just saying from what I read, some other books, that Kimbisa came to Cuba, but it wasn't, it was the priest that from the Manicongo del Rey Alfonso, but it wasn't established in Cuba. The first
yeah,
Rama
because
established in
they
Cuba
say
was.
that it came from the from Simon Kimbangu. That understanding of Simon Kimbangu, and some other priests. Gracia, you know, and the reality is that Kimbita is its own separate sect. It's its own separate understanding, right? And so when Petit was initiated, Andrés Petit de los Dolores, Facundo de los Dolores Petit, he was originally Mayombe.
Mm-hmm.
When they realized that this man knew his Mayombe, they couldn't do no more with him. And this is what happens when people grow in the religion. When you grow and you have that understanding and that aptitude to be bigger than other people, then what they got to do is they got to let you go. They got to let you do your thing. And so what happened was la casa de Mayombe con la casa de Quimbisa le dieron la potestad a Andrés Facundo de los Dolores Petit para formar Santo Cristo del
Buen bien.
Buen Viaje,
Mm.
you know? Y ahí es donde viene el Santo Cristo Buen Viaje. Porque el Santo Cristo Buen Viaje, thank you, baby. And so el Santo Cristo Buen Viaje got its name from the actual church that's in Havana. El Santo Cristo del Buen Viaje.
So it
Que
was
todavía está
Bustamante
ahí.
and Petit, according to Tata Yancy here.
Yeah, well, Tata Yancy's a Kimbicero.
Oh,
He should
yes.
know. He
Tata
is.
Yancy, maybe we should do an interview because there's a lot of people asking, and I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go for it. He's my brother.
Tata Yancy, we should do an interview because there's a lot of people asking information about Kimbisa. I don't know no Kimbicero, but now that I see you here and it seems like you have a lot of knowledge and you put a lot of knowledge, maybe an interview will be good una entrevista para sacar la información, to get the information out there, because there's a lot of people hungry. And what happens is there's a lot of people that go, they're Kimbiseros, but they're practicing, they're reading Briyumba books, they're reading Mayombe books, and then mixing everything up. It's better if we give the information out there and provide that information to somebody who is knowledge and belongs to that Rama. I don't know what you say about that. Yeah, I'll let him think that.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, this is something that has been talked about. I don't know if this is something that a lot of people are bringing up, something new now, and that's about the blood lineage. Okay,
Okay.
about there's a lot of forms out there, and it's something that is hot right now. A lot of people are just putting other people down. They're Eric is just bowsing. Let me see. I'll be in Miami. We'll meet up. Okay, so a lot of people are talking and saying things, and that's that. In order for you to practice palo, you have to be African American or Black or Congo descent. Now we spoke last time, Eric, and you said
Yeah.
that used to be the way Mayombe used to be.
Well, let's get this straight. And when we talk about Mayombe
So
being
let
secular,
me stop you there. Now, this is not
okay,
us being racist. This is not us
no,
being going against other ethnic groups, but this is an educational video to get out there. We're not putting anybody down, but I wanted to hear from somebody who also has a lot of knowledge. So the question again is: that do you have to be Black, right,
in
African,
color, no,
or color
no.
in order for you to practice Mayombe, Briyumba, or La Regla Conga, or Kenamundele practice this? Yes, we know that, Tata Yancy, but this is something that's very important because a lot
Yeah,
of people get attacked because of this.
I,
I
I
want to
think
hear
I think
from.
what and Ernesto, my friend, he's on here. He can vouch this. It what happens is that the calling to ancestral understandings for yourself, for your spirituality will call to things, right? So um African Americans, Afro Caribbean people, they all have a right, but the reality is, do they have the know-how? That's one thing, because you have to learn the culture. And so when we talk about initiating someone, right, we have to embed them in the culture, right? Because I'll tell you one thing: I'm Puerto Rican, right? I'm
Mhm.
Puerto Rican, and I have Taino blood, and I have Bantu origin blood as well,
Mhm.
right? In my DNA, it shows Taino, Spaniard, Republic of the Congo. What the fuck? And then the rest, right? So so somewhere along the line, your DNA will call to that, right? Is that is that something that's plausible today in this world? No, not necessarily. You don't have to be Black. You don't have to be, but you have to have faith in this religion, right? And the spirit has to take an interest in you.
But
And the
when you
tata,
do a
and the
DNA,
tata,
okay.
and the tata.
Mhm.
Because the person that's going to take on initiating the person is the one that's going to be responsible for that person, you know? And yeah, exactly. Everyone has to learn the culture of Palo, right? And so the culture of Palo, when we talk about Palo, we're talking about the Cuban understanding of this religion, right? I'm a guest in the house. Yes, I studied. Yes, I hung out with a lot of Cubans, but I'm a guest in the house.
Yes,
Just like you're a guest in the house,
of
right?
course.
And everybody else that is not Cuban is a guest in the house. But that doesn't take away our right to know. That doesn't take away our right that we're brujo. That doesn't take away our right that we got initiated, right? So again, this whole thing about you have to be African American, you have to have some type of African blood is non-consequential. Okay. what is consequential is that you learn the culture and you respect the culture, right? And I'll tell you, because Tata Yensi said that Andres Petit started cutting the first whites,
Mundele.
right?
Yeah.
The first Mundeles, right?
First white
There's a
people.
song that
Well,
goes,
they were actually Spanish, like you
yeah,
said.
the Spaniards, they have white, blonde hair, blue eyes, Um, there's a lot of mayomberos that are blonde hair and blue eyes. Matter of fact, there's a famous mayombero, Miguel Manuel el Blanco. They used to call him Manuel Gallego, Manuel el Blanco. He taught Primitivo Chino Arieta, Ñunga Ñunga.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
he that was his elder. Manuel el Blanco, it was his elder.
Mm.
Okay, and and Ñunga was black, and Manuel era blanco, but he
Wow.
was Cuban. He had black blood inside of him. He initiated, and he was he was part of the house. You know, he knew his tratados better than a lot of other people. You know what's going on here? I heard a lot of people who are close to Palo were paleros in past lives that never finished unfinished business. Is there any truth to that idea? Okay, hold on. White Mike. White Mike, exactly. White Mike taught Yunga Yunga. You know,
I'm just saying because even if that's the idea, when people do the DNA test, 90% of the people have African in them.
of course,
You
if
know.
not 100%, because we're talking about the beginning of civilization. People argue that. A lot of people argue that. We have a lot of people that will fight that. We understand the science the way it is now. Who knows? Maybe in 100 years the science might be different.
Yes. Um. Well, that's something that that is going on today because there's a lot of people out there putting other ethnic groups down, and I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, what happens to all these Mexicans that got scratched? Or what happens to all these Europeans that got scratched? What happened to all the Salvadorians that got scratched? Congo, non-African descendant countries. What happens to them? So are we gonna tell? Thank you. Do you want to ask any questions? I got the healing priestess here with me, my wife, but she's like, no.
Think of anything, I'll let you know.
So I'm like, so what happens to them? Are all the staff going to say, I was wrong, let me give you back your money because you're not cuenta, in Palo because you're white or you're Mundele. And also, there's a lot of history that people don't understand too, Like you said, there
Mhm.
were Tainos in the island, but at one time, Mayans also went to Cuba to work. There's something
And
that
they
we
were
haven't even touched about.
Yeah, no, and the Mayans were embedded in everything because there's a lot of trade in Puerto Rico with Maya, in Cuba with Maya, and the Tainos traveled. They traveled from island to island. They
Tata
traveled.
Jens is cracking me up. Y Manuel Congo rayando en Italia.
Yeah, no, there is a guy named Manuel Congo.
I know. That's what I'm
You know
saying.
Manuel Congo, yeah.
you know.
Bueno, cada uno con lo suyo que poco a poco llegan lejos.
Yeah, cada Congo con su maña, right? Is there anything else, Eric? I asked the questions already. Now I'm going to give the floor to you, and you can speak about. We have about what 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Speak whatever thing that we might have missed about these three ramas that may come up to the head that might help people out there.
Okay. I'll say this. No Rama is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just practice, right? A creolized understanding is just that, right?
See, I got
Um,
jealous.
I noticed. The wife had to show up,
Yeah.
but the whole understanding. What the hell happened to my thing? Hold on. Something happened here. What's going on with this? Go down. Come on, bro. It won't go down. Ya me metieron brujería a la cámara.
I could
But
simply
anyway, I know. I'm trying to read the comments and it went up and I got lost. But it's
the
okay. If I
Mayans
can't
went
read the
to the
comment, I'll get it later.
Caribbeans, some because of the Inquisition. Yeah, some of the Inquisition, and they were either sent to Puerto Rico or Cuba. Of course, there's something that nobody talks about, the Mayans in
Yeah.
Cuba and Puerto Rico.
No, I know. And there's a lot of archaeological evidence that states that. That
Yeah,
states that a lot. A lot. But getting back to what you were saying, the ramas, they're all beautiful in their
they
practices.
are. Yes.
They are all beautiful. Mayombe, Briyumba, Kimbisa. There's no one practice that will take away from the other. If anything, they've throughout the years they've embraced understanding. I think people who try to create a dissension between houses or try to claim that they're the only true house of Palo, be careful. Buyer beware. Because if this person is out there, I don't know, and has like trouble with every damn palero or every damn person who comes to their life, then that talks a lot about their character, and that has nothing to do with culture or religion, and more so with them either trying to make a hustle, which a lot of people live from this religion, unfortunately, you know, I've always worked and I'll keep working till the end. Even if I got to work in a McDonald's, I'll work in a McDonald's. I have no shame, because shame is when, I'm invalid and I can't work anymore. Then maybe I'll sit down and do Palo. But you know what? While I got two good feet, my heart is pumping, and I'm good to go, I'll always work, you know? But that doesn't mean I don't love this religion. That doesn't mean I won't take on clients. I won't take on people to read and to help them out as best as I can. I've become a little bit more of a hermit when it comes to Palo, and I've been working a lot more Orisha. But that's only because of my own premise, my own things that I had to. I was abandoning a lot more of the Orisha and not giving them their precedence.
Now,
You know what I
you said
mean?
something very important that I want to hear know your opinion about. And there's a
Hmm.
lot of Palo houses now today are pushing people to do Palo and then at the same time do the Orisha practice. Do you have to practice with Ocha in order for you to be I mean, I know the answer, but in order for you to practice Palo?
No, no, not at all.
Are there houses that are just strictly Palo to this day?
Yes, yes. There's a lot of people out there that are only paleros. Tatayensi is a palero. His father's a famous babalao, you know. But all his family has Ocha, but he won't go. He
Well, the
has to do
same case with
Chango,
me. I don't
you
do
know.
anything. Not that I
Yeah,
disrespect it. It's just
no.
I like to stay in my land.
Yeah, no, of course. Look, like I said, what I will say is that, did Ocha send me to Palo? Yes, because when I first got into this religion, I wanted to be a santero. I didn't want to be a palero. I thought Palo was the devil's work. I thought Palo was the devil's work.
Well, that's what a lot of people, claim the Palo is. They don't understand
But
Palo.
but because I was reading books misinformed. I was misinformed
Palo, the
with my
dark
own
side of
understanding.
Santeria.
Yeah, that we spoke about that in the first video.
Exactly.
And so the problem here is that when you become informed and you really know, and I had the blessing to run into a Mayombe house who was secular. They were private about their stuff. And it was a blessing, and it's been a blessing, and I still say it to the day. I'll die a mayombero. Did I work other forms of practice? Yes. Did I receive some stuff from other houses? Yes. Do I still practice mayombe? Yes. Do I still have my original nganga? Yes, I do. People see, but again, like I tell people, the reality is this, brother. The reality is this: don't go by what a person sells you, right? Don't go by what the person sells you. Oh, come to my house, I'm gonna do a kuyumfula and I'm gonna read you and I'm gonna do all this stuff. No, 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 no. Calm down, calm down. You know what? Things work at its time and at its pace. And if a person is there to get read with the muerto, they're gonna come to your house. Or if you're gonna read them and register them in Instagram or Insta Video, whatever it is that you do, Cash App, PayPal, whatever. Once the person reads you, they're still not connected to you. You don't have any right to them
Of
until
course.
they come to the foot of your nganga.
Of course.
And I think people get caught up in this whole thing of I'll put I'll scare you, and make you come because you're gonna die, so you gotta get Palo. You're gonna die, you gotta do Ocha, and sometimes those things are far and few. They happen, yes, but they're far and few. They're far and few. You know what I mean? I've been blessed to have learned a lot of Palo and help a lot of people in need with sickness, real sicknesses. Like I got a goddaughter, named Marianne that had a tumor of a grapefruit, and I did an ensara for her with the muerto, and it went down completely, down to like almost nothing. But does she still have it? Of course. I didn't do brain surgery, you know, but I believe in my stuff. I have another goddaughter that I've done a lot of stuff for people and helped them along the way. Whether they're with me today or they're not, it's irrelevant, because at the end of the day, people are with you for the moment and then they're gone next.
Mm-hmm.
You just wish them well in their journey and you keep it moving, right?
Yes.
Mayombe is a beautiful religion.
It is. It is. Now, one question that I almost forgot, and I was asked this, I almost forgot because the questions are right here in my head.
No, it's okay.
And that is, let's talk about a fundamento, right? Without the secrets. Let's pretend a lucero, right?
Yeah.
Is a lucero done in Mayombe the same way in Briyumba, Kimbisa, or in Regla Shamalonga?
No.
Do each house have their own way, or do Avery and So have their own way of doing something?
Yes. Whether it's right or wrong, it's up to, I guess, interpretation, right? Do people go on this whole thing about, oh, you have this lucero, bring it to my house, I'm going to break it, let's look at it. Oh, this is wrong. We don't know. We weren't there. Because a lucero can be just as simple as a stone, a rock, some minerals, a little bit of dirt, and that's it. And it could be as intricate as all these animal parts that we put in it and a bone and everything else. And it could be just simple. It could be a piece of meteorite. That's lucero. You see? So we don't really know the secrets behind other houses, but what we consider the respect that we say is cortesia Congo.
Cortesia Congo, yes.
We give courtesy to each person.
Yeah, because nowadays there's a lot of people out there on the internet breaking luceros down and saying, get the facenda, this is wrong. And I'm like, but every house has a tratado, right?
Yeah.
Every house has a
I'm
secret.
guilty of that.
No, but
I'm guilty of that.
I understand your thing. I'm not bringing you up. I mean, and what's about time somebody did it to him?
I said it, look, you know why I did it? And I did it to prove a point. Oh, you get the puppy.
Yes, that's my little female, Chihuahua. She loves to come and tell me things.
Yeah. And I did it because I wanted to prove a point that anybody can do it to you, because he was doing it all over the earth.
Of course. And it's something I never agreed with him.
Yeah. Exactly. We won't mention his name.
Yeah, because everything has a different tantalo. And so each rama, each thing has a different way of seeing it, and it's according to your secret. That lucero is made for you exactly. So that lucero or that fundamento is not gonna be exactly like the other one. Even when you
No.
go through your juramento, it's not going to be exactly. It's not like copy. Everybody's going to get a cross here and 3 lines here and stuff here. You know.
I'll give you one even more simple than and this is a gem. This is a gem for everybody. There's a mambo that in Mayombe we sing. Con tierra nama yo compongo una nganga. What does that mean?
With dirt, yeah.
Metaphorically, just with the dirt of the ground, if I'm a person who has knowledge and understanding of Malongo, of the universe, of the world, of the plants, of the animals, guess what? If I give you something and I've prayed over it and I've done ceremony to it and it only has dirt and it jumps from here to there, you have a prenda. You have a prenda. Whether people want to talk about, whether people want to say, oh, that's not real, that's not right, that's on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, everybody,
That's
when
on
we
them.
say prenda, nganga, sarana, kindembo, kandembo, they expect something huge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
With like
And that's the
27
problem.
sticks,
It's not.
37 sticks, or 21 sticks, it doesn't matter. They expected something big. When
Yeah,
in the hikara, lutete, whatever you want to call it, you can make that for them.
yeah, yeah.
Candados are different in every place.
Hey, salam alaikum, David. That's David Siete Rayos. That's my brother too.
Oh, that's your brother, like real brother,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, my brother in Palo. Shit.
Oh.
He's been initiated as long as I have. Fuck. We ran around all over the place. That's my Bronx brother.
Mm. Oh, yeah, I forgot you used to hang around the Bronx.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, look, let me tell you something, man. The interesting part, of the beauty of Malongo is that somebody somewhere with the understanding can give you some dirt and some yelbas and hand it off to you. You know, hand it off to you and give it an ensara, give it a camino, and give it to you. Tie it in this red cloth, and now you have an encangue. You have something que camina, and that's the beauty of our religion if the person knows what they're doing.
Yes.
Because not everyone can do that.
Yes. Yes, Ernesto, Malongo is everything, but people have no understanding of Malongo or what Malongo is.
Mm-hmm.
People put titles in the names that they still don't understand what it means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You know, maybe we could sit down with Eric another day and talk strictly on Malongo.
Yeah, definitely. We should talk about plants. We should talk about herbs. We should talk about, because again, tatas, right? The ganguleros of their time in Cuba created ngangas from nature. All right, from nature. How come in the Americas we can't do that? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you have the understanding and you know what you're doing, a lot of people will try to disprove American ganguleros and say we don't have ngangas. But we have Monte, we have Ceiba, we have Palma, we
Yes.
have, Enfinda, we have Sabicunanguanza here, we have all that. We
Oh,
have Mosi Mosi, we have Tepe Tepe here. Those spirits run, they're the foundation of the earth. All that is part of the earth.
of course.
We can make it,
Yes, yeah,
we
yeah.
can make, and that's the beauty of it. Why you think the Cubans that left in the Mariel, a lot of them didn't leave with ngangas. If they got to leave with something, they left with something, right? But plantaron bandera aquí, right? Every gangulero from Pancho Mora that was a gangulero. This man, Sarabanda Coltalima, I forget his name. and a bunch of other people that are here in the States that have their gajos and built from the ground up. We have to honor that respect.
Yes.
My padrino, Miguel Galzon, he brought bejuco and finda in a little terracotta pot, like in a little planter's pot from Cuba. All right. When I went to give a gallo, I brought a behemoth of a gallo. All right. And I see this little thing right in front of him. He has all his other stuff, right? All the stuff that he got. And he had this little macutito. And he said, ese bejuco en finda. I said, okay, vamos. And he starts singing a song he starts singing a mambo to put the Nsusu to sleep. He took the Nsusu and just put his head on that little fundamento. And that fucking gallo dropped dead right there before we could even kill it.
Oh, wow.
And I saw that. That's not something that I invented. That's something that I saw with my own eyes.
We've seen it done. I mean, it's just...
And so when I tell you that people get into this whole insanity about having these garbage can of ngangas. They don't need them. They don't need them. They're beautiful aesthetically. They're wondrous. Oh, I have a 200-pound nganga. What are you going to do with that when you die?
In different colors and...
Yeah. Paint all types of stuff, But again, it's not to knock anyone or talk about a person or anything like that. It's just, if that's their practice, respect their practice. We have our practice, you have your practice.
Yes.
And everybody respects each other. There's the song, Ajuntamelo todito, son hermano, ajuntamelo todito, cangulero, ajuntamelo todito,
Yeah. The problem is everybody's trying to be better than the other one. Everybody's trying to think they know more knowledge instead of coming together as one community. It's no, let me put this other person down because I want to get fame through this other person by putting this person down. Now people will know me. Today here in the Americas is about more pride.
Yeah.
It's about I know better than you. My soul has all the secrets. Everything comes from this pot. And I'm like, well, I have to learn new things every day.
Yeah.
And I just say, if you're gonna educate people, do it with respect.
Yeah.
There you go. Eric is from this and so. I'm from this and so. Yeah, we're coming together to educate people. That's all we ask.
Yeah, that's all. Because people need to take away the stigma of Palo being this death ritual.
It's not. It's not about evil. It's not about.
It's not. Does it have components to be evil? Of course.
Yes, we know that.
Doesn't the Catholic Church have components to be evil?
Of course. If you go to the Catholic Church and you go to Mary and you put a candle and you tell her, I want my husband back, you automatically going against her husband's will. You're doing brujeria. That's brujeria because you're going against what the husband wants. Maybe he doesn't want to be with you anymore. Or the wife.
Yeah, exactly. And then if the Virgin Mary does do that, they're like, "Hi, God." No, it was the Virgin Mary, bro. You asked the Virgin Mary.
Yes. But anyways, there's so many questions, Eric. But we're gonna do a part 3.
Yeah, definitely, man. Whenever you want.
And anybody here who's interested in giving their knowledge.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes. And anybody who's here interested in giving their knowledge, please, you can get in contact with me and we could do a video. It doesn't matter from what house. Even if you disagree, but tell me why you disagree and then you share your knowledge why. That way everybody gets knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm not asking here, let's give the secrets of your soul, let's give the secrets of the tratados. I'm just knowledge. That's all. History. Instead of fighting, let's come together and treasure. Because these videos will be left there for the ones that come behind us, those generations.
Yeah, definite. And again, I'll say it one more time before I get off, wherever anyone decides to lay their head, right? because everyone has a destiny and everyone feels comfortable with who they feel comfortable with, right? Getting rayado, getting readings, doing cleanings, things like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just understand that it's dedication and devotion
Yes.
and being part of something and believing in it, because once you put dissension between people, it's not good. I get clients all the time that want to get readings. I give them readings and I tell them, if you want to go read with someone else, go ahead by all means.
Of
They're not
course.
going to give you the same reading. And I'm not going to disprove anything for them or prove anything or talk bad about anybody, because cada persona tiene su lugar. They're going to feel comfortable with whoever. But if you come to start gossip or craziness, then you have issues, like the
Yes.
person has issues, not the priest, the person. So, we got to watch out for that.
Yes. Uh, it's just it's a beautiful tradition, like you said.
Yeah.
I got people saying, "Well, I don't know my mambos." I'm like, "Well, those mambos were invented with somebody. Do your own mambos. There's nothing wrong with doing your own mambos. I mean, it's your own spiritual
No.
practice.
Yeah.
You know."
I saw someone make a mambo right then and there, and I'll say his name, Muerto one time, Muerto Vivo. He was singing
Now you're talking about a
and there was,
legendary right there.
yeah, he's a legend. He's a legend.
Yeah.
And I remember him singing. He came out and he started. And I think this mambo exists, but it's very far and few. And he sang it in his CD. He did a CD many years ago, and so he walks in, and I remember we walk in, and these guys they were like just mumbling their words, and he comes and he goes Mambe, 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 and they stop, right, and he looks, he goes, Ahora que llegué, sin son te va a cantar. Sin son te va a cantar, sin son te, ahora que llegue. And everybody was like, what the fuck? And they all stood like, oh shit. And the party started jumping. It just takes that person with that type of inspiration to make a palo drumming, to bring spirituality and understanding. Does he have his drama? Yeah, he's an old man with drama,
Everybody has.
but he knows his stuff. You gotta respect where respect is due, you
Okay.
know.
All right.
But again, Tata, thank you.
Well,
Thank you
thank you.
and we'll do this again whenever you want. We'll let it marinate for a few days or a few weeks, and then we do a part 3.
Of course, always. And like I said, any one of you probably not here live watching this, but after you watch that, if you guys are interested in coming out with your thing, either contact me, contact Eric. Let's do another. Let's keep
Yeah,
sharing that knowledge. Like I said, I'm not saying share the secrets of your own soul. I'm saying share tratado. It's just history, knowledge.
yeah,
That's all.
yeah. Truth, truth, truth.
Well,
Bueno,
thank you.
cambia, hermano. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Have a good night,
You
everyone. Have
too,
a good
Eric.
night.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye.
Bye.